Passing an AWS certification exam depends on reading the logical language of cloud architecture. It is a test of how you apply these systems to solve business problems, rather than a simple exercise in recalling service names. That logic begins with a clear understanding of liability, formally known as the shared responsibility model. It establishes the fundamental baseline for who is accountable when a system is deployed. This model creates a clear dividing line. AWS is responsible for security of the cloud, maintaining data centers, hardware, and the virtualization layer. The customer is responsible for security in the cloud, managing data, encryption keys, and firewalls. To navigate these responsibilities on exam day, you must first recognize the well-architected pillars shown in Section C, the core standards for security, reliability, and cost. Once you understand what AWS considers a good architecture, you can apply 3 specific habits. Read the final sentence of a question first to find the actual requirement. Map the scenario to the pillar it prioritizes, and eliminate options based on hard keywords like serverless or fully managed. Internalizing these boundaries provides your primary defense against the deliberately confusing traps built into the exam. Every cloud architecture you evaluate will be built on 3 core pillars: a secure network, compute power, and attached storage. Starting with the network, Section B shows a strict rule. A NAT gateway must be in a public subnet for internet access. Defending this, Section C shows security groups acting as stateful firewalls for instances, while network ACLs are stateless, controlling entire subnets. Moving to compute power, this chart in Section F highlights a critical limitation. AWS Lambda is a powerful serverless compute option, but it has a hard 15-minute execution limit. Selecting Lambda for a task taking hours to run is a guaranteed exam failure. Storage services carry their own hidden rules, as shown here in Section B. Placing short-lived data into infrequent access storage classes triggers minimum duration penalties. You will be billed for 30 days of storage even if you delete the object after 12 hours. The most common architectural failures on the exam stem directly from these kinds of errors: misplacing core network resources or misunderstanding the strict billing rules attached to resource lifecycles. Above the compute layer, applications need robust ways to store state and route messages under load. This graphic breaks down database scaling. The left shows multi-AZ, a high-availability tool using synchronous replication where standby cannot be read. If overwhelmed by reads, the right side shows a read replica, using asynchronous replication to create a separate instance dedicated to read performance. When routing messages between these application tiers, this comparison in Section A shows 2 distinct queuing options. SQS Standard guarantees message delivery, but allows for potential duplicates. SQS FIFO enforces strict ordering and guarantees exactly once processing. So if a practice scenario asks you to optimize a database that is struggling to handle heavy read queries, and there is no mention of strict failover requirements, the only correct architectural choice is a read replica. Once the architecture is built, you have to govern the accounts that access it and prepare the environment for catastrophic failures. Looking at Section C, we see a common misunderstanding regarding service control policies. In AWS organizations, SCPs act strictly as guardrails to set maximum allowable permissions. They never grant access on their own. Users still need separate IAM policies to perform any action. If a region fails, you rely on disaster recovery. Section D maps strategies by cost and recovery speed. Notice the nuance. Pilot Light keeps only core databases running, requiring compute provisioning on failover. Warm Standby costs more, maintaining a scaled-down, functional environment copy. Operational excellence on the exam requires treating security and disaster recovery as calculated trade-offs. Every decision is a balance between the client's budget, their tolerance for downtime, and the strictness of their access boundaries. You can cut through the noise of dense exam questions by building a mental framework of keyword maps. This allows you to recognize specific architectural requirements and immediately identify the corresponding service. For example, when a scenario requires the ability to block a country or filter by IP, that leads directly to AWS WEF. If a task requires you to decouple components in a microservices architecture, the required service is SQS. When the audit team needs to discover PII in S3 buckets, that specific operational requirement points directly to Amazon Macy. By slowing down, reading the final sentence carefully, and applying these exact keyword maps and trap warnings, you will systematically eliminate the wrong answers and pass your certification.